Okay, so obviously not well organized there. Can you guys hear me? I'm gonna have to wait a minute for that one because no one can hear me. Okay, tell me if I can be heard. I forget the stream has a bit of a delay there, so yes, excellent. Right, so get those questions in. Let's start this thing. Yes, that. Yeah, so I'm clearly not well organized. Obviously never streamed on YouTube before. I've only ever streamed on Twitch, and that's mostly been gameplay. So anyway, time for questions. It is indeed. Get them in. Fire away. Will I release any planes like as an aircraft? Like I've been working on aircraft, but I'll never actually release one because I am terrible at modeling aircraft. Like they all look boxy and terrible and boxy. Mostly terrible though. Although saying that, I have been thinking about releasing aircraft. I was working on a Vans RV4, I think it's called, and it looks fairly decent. But I'll never get around to releasing it because someone's already done it. When you say MTX has been updated yesterday, do you mean like the base version or the latest development release? Oh yeah. PBR materials, yeah, I know all about them. I don't have them in mind as of yet because I'm still working on a development release, but I don't use PBR textures to be honest with you. God, my phone's going nuts. Apparently it's snowing outside, but no, it's not. It's raining. It's a difference. Okay, so get your questions firing away at me. They don't use it in standard P3D, are they? Well, I shall look into it. I'll update, and I'll look into it. So we can have a look. Actually, let's go into there. It's RV4. Might take a minute to load. Like there we go. Yeah, it's like working on that in SketchUp as you do. Like, the modeling's fairly nice, but it took me a while to really get the gist of things. And once I got everything put together, I went searching for it on Google to look for more images, and I found one for FSX. And yeah, payware, much better quality. Not gonna go there. So you have a problem with the ground poly wizard. Convert as in the video. The final BGL has some triangles around. Yeah, I have noticed that sometimes the ground polys do export in a weird manner. Like sometimes they cut pieces out and whatnot. The only way around it that I've found to fix it is to compile as a MDL first, and then go for the model, and then go for the BGL, the ground poly. If that doesn't work, then compile the model into a normal BGL, like a scenery BGL, and then you can bring it back into Model Converter X as the BGL, and then compile as a ground poly. Like, I'll show you what I mean. Let's get rid of that. Let's open up Model Converter X. It might take a minute or 7. There we go. And let's have a look, shall we? Flight Sim. Say FSX. not FSX, P3D, where are you? Version 3, 4? Yeah, version 3. Um, sound down. If we go for any of these, to be honest with you, like Southampton, for example, like this is a payware product, so obviously it's going to be slightly more detailed than the other stuff I've got here, but let's go for Southampton BGL. I think that's the base layer, that's the ground poly. Yeah, there's all of them loading in now. FS Skull 3ds Max, I don't like using it. It's a pain. Like, I'll use it once in a while to make textures, but when it comes to actually using 3ds Max properly, I don't like using it. It's slow, it's cumbersome, and it takes about 3 weeks to make a single object. So, right, so this is Southampton. This is the payware version. Now, I know it's not quite what you said with this here, but if you can see that, the ground polygon sort of has an overlay. There's the detail layer on top, which has a specular map attached to it. And underneath, this is why it wasn't released for P3D, and underneath you have the base layer. Now the problem I had with this is I couldn't actually compile it properly. Like, it would come out as, well, the ground poly would look like this. It would look just like this. And hello music and gaming, ID music and gaming, hi. So yeah, it would look like this. And I could never get around it. So the only option that I can give you, I know it works for FSX just fine, is to save this as a BGL. So if we go export scenery and save it as an FSX or a P3D, whatever BGL, and then bring it back into Model Converter X and go through the ground poly wizard once again, then you can obviously save it as you need to. If that doesn't work, then the only thing I would suggest is recompiling from SketchUp or 3ds Max, wherever you got it from in the first place. And yeah, going back to 3ds Max, I do have it. I do have 3ds Max. I have used it several times, but the only thing I use it for is UVs. I don't use it for anything else. It's too cumbersome. It's cumbersome. I can't speak. Too cumbersome, and it's too. I wouldn't say difficult to use, but I'd say it takes too long to make something simple. For example, if I wanted to make a simple shed or a hangar, it'd take probably about an hour or two in SketchUp. I mean, an hour or two in 3ds Max, about 10 minutes in SketchUp. And then, you know, another, what, 15, 20 minutes to texture it properly. What a folder. What? My flight simulator folder. It's just full of everything. It's full of everything. FS School, yeah, I would say SketchUp is easier to use. I wouldn't say it's better. It's definitely easier to use for things like ground polygons. Like, the larger the area you have, the easier it is to use. So like making ground polygons in SketchUp would take, what, a couple of days at the most if you want to be really accurate. But yeah, in 3ds Max it could take you weeks. Like, it honestly could. Like, even the best people for 3ds Max or Gmax even, like, I've seen people work in Gmax and they take, what, about 10-15 minutes to make something as small as a taxiway line. Like, just join onto another taxiway. It's just too much work. Can you show how to make PBR materials, please? I actually cannot, unfortunately. It's something I have no experience with at the moment. Why did I click on material editor? Why is it taking so long to load? Okay, I've still got the materials in there apparently. Anyway, let's pop something in there. So let's go for Biggin Hill. Okay, this actually could take a minute or two. Oh, there we go. Couple of seconds. Right, scenery. Let's go for assignment of landside. Hill. Biggin Hill. Biggin Hill 1, 2, 3. I think those are my ground lines, if I'm honest. Back in the day when I used to do them stupidly. Right, so this is Biggin Hill. It's a fairly old airport. It was the very first one I released under the flagship name. And you can see what I've done wrong here. I've left the texture in the wrong format in SketchUp. I put it in Photoshop format, and I've got this white sort of background around it. It's horrible. Yeah, Northern, the major problems are the triangles inside. Just showing you this here to sort of show you what I did. Now, with this particular ground polygon, there's no issues with it. The only issue is the outside area, so I can change all the textures for that. I'm just trying to find one with holes in it. Having a bit of trouble for that one, aren't I? Right, I can't remember which ones I had that had holes in it. Let's have a look here. London City, no. Quebec, City Challenger, Gibraltar, no. I think Guernsey might have had a hole in it, if I'm honest. Or, let's have a look here. P3D. So Lid might have had a hole in it, actually. Lid ground. No hole in that one either. I think it's the only one that actually turned out proper. Saying that, that is actually one other thing you can do to sort of get rid of your holes. If you find that you export as a combined ground poly, like for example, I've got this one here, and it's just the base, and there's no holes in it as far as I can tell. I don't think there is anyway. Just check. No, there's no holes in that yet. Now, because this is it's actually a combined ground polygon, there's two materials, maybe about 20. There's the asphalt as the detail layer, and underneath, obviously, the base. I fixed my holes in GP by adding a line in SketchUp in the whole place. Oh. Yeah, that also works. I will admit that does work. Didn't think of that, if I'm honest. Anyway, moving on from ground polygon holes. Anyone got any other questions? Oh. Now my English is actually really good, but I still read in some odd ways. Like FS School's last comment there, it says read my comment above. I would normally read that as in read my comment above. It's like, who read the comment above? Me? Oh, right, read. Model holes. Don't have any model holes. I might have a few. Probably make some by accident. SketchUp keeps saying, oh, it's an update available. Do you want it? It's like, no, I don't. And that thing that pops up down there is like, one of your add-ons is out of date or something. Right. Okay, but how would I make or create that line in SketchUp? Okay, you're not asking me. Do I use Blender? I have used Blender in the past. I have used it. Again, it's the same as 3ds Max. I can't really get along with it too well. It's easy to use. I will admit it's really easy to use, but no, the bonus is completely free. But the issue I have with it is, like, my knowledge of it isn't that great. So it takes me about 3 or 4 months to make something as simple as a wall. Wait, let's see a vegetation plug in your sketch. Oh yes, you do. Yes. Infos? What infos? Yes, vegetation plugin in SketchUp is actually called 3D Arc Studio. It's not very good, if I'm honest. I've never used it for Flight Sim, but I'll show you quickly how to use it. Just go for a rectangle here, like that. Reverse the face. Okay, if we double click on it, click on Tree Maker and Grass Maker. Well, you can sort of choose your settings here. You can up the spacing ratio, variance, scale, and whatnot. I'm just going to go with the basic layer here. So if we just place intersections, that'll give you that. And then click on that, click on redraw. There you go. Now it takes up a lot of memory when you use this, but that's what it gives you. It gives you sort of really terrible looking grass, if I'm honest. If we turn off the lines, you should be able to see that. There we are. Oh, God, I'm selecting things. But yeah, it looks nice. Don't get me wrong, it looks nice, but it's not frame rate friendly in any way. Yeah, it definitely is a performance killer. Like if you're trying to use this in Flight Sim, it'll just blue screen on you. Well, it might not blue screen, but you definitely get an out of memory error. It is useful for like some things, like for example trees. If we click on the grass there, we go down to here, and go for tree, and like it gives you little things like that, and you can make some fairly detailed models. If you place intersections there, and select it, click on redraw, it gives you some fairly detailed models. Like they are quite nice, but every one of these is a single face. And of course, they've all got curves in them and things like that. So a model as small as this will probably have, what, 10 to 15,000 polygons. It's ridiculous. I read that wrong, didn't I? I said a lot of poles, a lot of polys. See what I mean? Can't read. If we turn on hidden geometry, like you'll see what I mean. They're just full of polygons. Yeah, stupid, it really is. Yeah, that many polys. I'm not even lying. I think I exported one like that once. It's probably smaller than that, if I'm honest. Probably only about 10, 15 centimeters squared. And there was one little tree inside it, and I thought, ah, that'd be good. And I can just place it over and over again. It was like 700 or 800 polygons. What about a tree? Wow. Let's have a look, shall we? Let's go for a tree. Didn't reverse faces last time. I don't know why I didn't. Let's have a look here. Tree. Oh, cannabis tree. Look at that. So the trees get worse as they go up. See, the bigger the tree, the more polygons. Let's go for something like that. Place intersection. Probably take. Oh, there is no tree. To make something better. Let's try again. It's not in there, is it? So click on redraw, see what happens. There is no. I'll do. Place the intersection. It's not going in. The tree doesn't work. Tree doesn't work. Okay, I've got to select a face first. That makes sense. Place intersection. Oh, there we go. There we go. Tree works. Right. So, see all these little lines here? That's for the branches and whatnot. There's one big one going up the center. That's nice. Click on that. Click on redraw. Oh, my CPU. There we go. God, look at the frame rate. I'm not even recording a game and the frame rate's dipping. That is ridiculous. Yeah, you did say tree, not a forest. We can delete one. We can delete one. Here you go. It's gone. Like, it's a decent little plugin. Like, it gives you the textures and everything, but it's not something you'd want to put in Flight Sim, that's for sure. I definitely wouldn't. They do look nice, though, I will admit. I mean, you probably could sort of model something along these lines. Like, you probably could use the tree and just like delete the leaves. There you go. Got a nice wintry tree. It's less frame effective, but still looks nice. Can I describe the process of making professional scenery? Well, my process varies, if I'm honest. Like, I do most of my modeling now in SketchUp, because it's like I said earlier, it's just a lot faster than it would be anywhere else. But the process of making professional looking scenery it's all about textures, really. Like, the more textures you have that are in higher resolution and the more shading and detail you have on them, the better they look. A prime example of that is my prime example of that is still really right. Most prime example of that is Flagship OMT's Valley, the one I'm working on now. I'm retexturing the entirety of the whole thing, and I've redone the roofs, I've redone the main terminal building, I've put bump textures and everything, specular textures and everything, and it looks really nice. Like, just the terminal alone looks great. So if you can sort of implement that into all of the buildings and all the surroundings, all of the grass, then you'll be happy. The process of making professional looking scenery is going to be start from the bottom and work your way up. Like, start with something small, start with something easy for you. Yeah, so going with that, when you soften the edges with the eraser tool in SketchUp, sometimes you can see the join lines, yes, but it's not really an issue as long as you cut on the green and red axis, then you should be fine. Like, if you cut like long ways and diagonal and whatnot, then it's going to be weird. Let's give you an example. I don't even know what I'm going for. Jersey, that'll do. Nope, no save. Yes, she'll get to that question right now for you. If we select everything except for you and you, we hide. There we go. Right, so this is Jersey. Now, if we zoom out, you can't see any lines. If you zoom out in SketchUp, like, you shouldn't see any lines. Like, I can see the odd join here and there, but it's not going to be noticeable in the sim because it's barely noticeable in SketchUp. So if we go for hidden geometry, and we'll turn the lines back on, okay, you can see that I've sliced these on the red and green axis. So they are perfectly aligned to the red and green. There's no diagonals, there's no off centers, nothing like that. And the runway, they don't go along the same direction as the runway. So as long as you slice the polygon in this kind of orientation, like along the red and the green axis, then you'll be absolutely fine. Perpendicular to those. If you go for anything other than that, like for example, if we opened up this, let's go to profiles, there we go. If we open this up and actually put a slice along here and along here, say along there as well, Okay, this will reduce the number of no, it won't reduce anything actually. It'll increase the number of textures you have. Everything will have to be a unique texture. Oh, that is not right, is it? What have I done there? Right, so yeah, they're not perfect boxes, obviously. But yeah, if we now go into that and soften. It's gonna call me a liar now. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, it's calling me a liar. FS score, you're gonna have to rephrase that one. I'm not too sure what you mean. How to draw a rectangle with the view instead of the world. Yeah, you have to rephrase that one, my friend. I don't know what you're saying. Yeah, so this product has just called me a complete liar. It's like, no, you can obviously cut horizontally and vertically and diagonally, and there'll be no issues. But yeah, keep your slices perpendicular to the red and green axis. Simple as that. Just wait for FS score to rephrase that question. What I think you mean, I'm probably completely wrong, but what I think you mean is if you've got something like this, how do you keep your slices perpendicular? Well, you want to make them perpendicular to the red and green axis, so you should never have a shape like this. It should always be on the red and green axis, so like that. Taxiway center line lights, as in the actual light objects I've used, or like BGL lights, or there's no others. Oh, effects. Yeah, there is. Like, there's several ways you can make center line lights. Did you pop off for a bit there, FS School? Repeat the rectangle part, please. Yeah, so if you've got a rectangle, right, like that, and it is, right, your rectangle should always be on the red and green axis for ground polygons. Like, it should never be any different. Like, it should always be on the red and green axis like this. Like, you shouldn't have anything like that. If it's like that, then your cuts are going to be, perpendicular to the shape's axis, and you don't want that. You want it to be perpendicular to the red and green axis of the world. Okay, like that. So if you've got a ground polygon that's, for example, going this way, your box is going to want to be around it in that kind of shape. So if the ground polygon is in between, well, in here, going here, for example, like the runway starts here and ends here, and the airport's over here, you want to cut along the red and green axis. Why can't we do that? Well, it's not so much you can't do it, it's just things look better if you don't do it. Like, every airport is situated in a different orientation, and the way the game engine works in Flight Sim, that's FS9, FS6, P3D, it works on the north and southern hemisphere, right, or northern and southern lines. So if you have lines going across these planes, like that, so if the lines are going this way, then you're going to see the joins between them, like, much more visibly. If the lines are like this, then you're not going to see the joins too much, and it shouldn't show up. Now, rectangles for runways are slightly different because it's more detail layers than anything else. So you can go ahead and make a runway like that. Make sure all the edges are the same. perpendicular to each other. And if you want to put runway markings on it, again, you want to stay perpendicular to the lines, like that. And you can give yourself some runway markings, and the easiest way to do it is just copy and paste. Here comes the most common phrase on this channel. I'm not doing this to be professional, I'm doing this to show you. I'm going to show you how to do it. Just pressing Control there, just once to copy with the move tool. So that's what you can do for a runway. Ground polygons, the base layer specifically needs to be red and green axis. The runways, anything above that, doesn't matter. It honestly doesn't. Why did I press New? I wanted to go for Open. Go for Bristol. The glow of the center lights. Ah, the glow. Now, would you want that glow in effects, or would you want it in like 3D models? It does look like a bus from a... it did, yeah. Right, now this is how I used to do my ground polys before. I used to just cut around the edge. We turn on hidden geometry. You can still see I've done the whole slicing perpendicular to the green and red axis. Runway doesn't matter. Ground polygons above the base, it does not matter. What's your contribution to community? You are welcome, Daniel Smith. You are welcome indeed, and welcome to the live tutorial, or whatever you want to call it. What is simpler? Well, 3D modeling is simpler, if I'm honest. Right, so, taxiway lights. Now, edge lights, same as the center light, doesn't matter. So, we'll go for 1 meter. 1 meter. Right, draw yourself a box. Make sure you got a box, okay? So you got a box. Right, what you want to do, we'll get to your question there in just a second. FS School, curved taxiway lines, definitely. Right, so you got a box, right? What you want to do is you want to texture the box. Oh god. Right, we'll go for blue for now. It doesn't matter. It'd be the same for a green light. We'll just call it light. Always name your textures. Never don't. Okay, so texture your box. Front and back. Okay, now make a group. Once you've made it a group, go to the top, get the rotate tool, press Control, click on the side, and spin it round so it's a cross. Okay, now that will give you your light effect. Now once you've got that going, you can add a base glow if you want. What I like to do is I just join them all together and bring them down. So on the blue axis, there we go, so they're just below the surface. Upload your texture pack. I don't think so. Spent a long time collecting those. Oh yes. A long time collecting and making those textures. Very, very long time. Probably give you the lights, if I'm honest. I don't use them anymore. But yeah. So bring it below the ground. Let's get rid of this dude. It's as percent as it possibly could get, really, isn't it? And SRC I couldn't see blue with my GP. Oh, you mean it's below the ground polygon? Like if that is what you mean, you're gonna want to make sure it's above the ground slightly, because if you put it below the ground, then you're not gonna see it. If it was above the ground, you might see it. Depends really. In FSX and yeah, just FSX, the blending tools are the same as what I've described there. I can't actually remember what the blending options are for P3D. Just bear with me 1 second. To go into Sawfly Concepts inbox here and scroll down to see what the solution was. And that one there. No, that's FS9. FSX. Oh, hang on. I think that might be the one. Is that the one? No, that's not the one. See, I can't show you the messages here because of the data protection laws in the UK. So I would if I could. I can tell you what the messages say once I. What is that? What's Makansibu? Oh. I can tell you what the messages say once I find the one I'm looking for. But when it comes to that, yeah. Want to have a look at yourselves? There you go. Cinema 4D. I have thought about using Cinema 4D, but again, I've got no experience with it. I think I might look into it though, because it does look like an interesting program. Let's have a look. Right. God, everyone mentions P3D. It's not that guy. Alright, so that was trees, yeah, not P3D. No, P3D, Free West, some of my P3D series, X-Plane 11. Well, that's cool. I don't care. After that, Google Chrome start. Don't forget about. Forget about what? I won't forget about Curved Taxiway lines, don't you worry. It's in the books. Don't have any books, but it's in them. Alright. Right, I have to get back to the light for this in a bit, because I'm going to go on to Curved Taxiway lines. So, right, I'll get back to this and I'll give you the blending options in just a tick. I just need to find them. So, Curved Taxiway lines, let's start this here. Yes, I do know something about scattered and lights, I'll get onto that as well. Ask you a question, I'll get around to it. So, Curved Taxiway lines are simple. Say, like that. And like that. 0.57 sounds about right, why not? Okay, so that's going to be a straight taxiway line, yeah? If we texture it, let's use a lines texture because, you know, we're that awesome. Needless abridged. New lines HD, yeah, that'll do. 32 different. Look great because the detail. Does that have an effect on it? I have noticed that with ground polygons, it don't really affect the frames because, like, there may be a lot of polygons included in them, but there's not enough really for it to affect the frames. All the polygons are quite big, in essence, but yeah, like you don't really have an effect on frame rates from ground polygons. Okay, so yeah, you can make them as big or as detailed as you want. Really, the truth is, computers are now becoming so powerful that it doesn't particularly matter if you have an airport that has like 40, 50, 60,000 polygons in it. It doesn't really matter. Whereas for me, it does, because I like my sceneries to be frame rate friendly regardless of what kind of computer they're being run on. Like if they're being run on a potato, I still want them to look good and I still want them to work. If they're being run on the latest software, Windows 10, then again, I still want to. That is such a big taxiway. What size is that? That is not 0.5, is it? No, it's slightly bigger than 0.5 actually. Let's go for there and slice it off. No wonder I was going, that's really big. Okay, so if I want to curve this now, well, you use X-plane textures, I use my own. So if I want to curve this round and continue the texture, it's going to look ridiculous. So just make a curve, for example. Start by doing that first. If we make a nice simple curve around, yeah, I'll just do it the other way. Okay, so see, you won't see any of this in the finished product. Yeah, you will. So normally what I'd do is I'd skip over this bit with editing, and I would edit out the embarrassment that is my use of SketchUp. That's what I would do. That is not 0.5, is it? It's something else now. Potato 2018. Yeah, I'm kind of using a potato as well. It's not 100% amazing. I mean, it'll run P3D, it'll run FSX, it'll run what I need it to. So it's not god awful, but it's not incredible. Right, so there we go. I've got the curved taxiway line. If I was to continue this texture across, it's going to just go straight, and you can see the rest of the pack there, or the rest of the sheet. So it needs to be curved. Now, the easiest way to do that is to use 3ds Max and project as a flat object in the UVs. But in SketchUp, you're going to have to do it the hard way. And the hard way is making sure you join the lines to the other points. There are some simple tricks you can use for this. Like, it doesn't come with UVW mapping as standard. So you can sort of create your own at the same time. But there is a program you can use, it's called Curviloft. And that will segment your curve into a proper curve. And then you can use the UV mapping with that. However, it doesn't work. It doesn't work very well. So you used the hard way once. Yeah, the hard way does take some time. I mean, you get the results you need though. No, it's just a simple case of curving every texture and lining them up. Like, you get where I'm going with that. That's how you make curved taxiway lines. Now, the issue with that is it does take a little bit of time, and I've noticed the fastest version is to put it into 3ds Max. It really is. Definitely. You recommended me Instant Scenery Free. I did recommend Instant Scenery Free, and I always will recommend Instant Scenery Free. If you don't know what it is, it's something where you can make models, put them into library objects, place them into Flight Sim, and then go inside Flight Sim and place them exactly where you want them to be from inside the sim. Now, if I show you that now, my frame rates are going to drop to 0. Thanks, Daniel. I've never actually used Blender properly. Like, I've experimented with it, I've played around, but I've never actually used the texturing tools on it. If you do say it's easier to texture curves, then that's absolutely fantastic. We'll look into it. I would also recommend everyone look into Blender as well. It's free to use and download. So yeah, use Blender. There's probably plenty of tutorials floating around on YouTube for texturing on that one. Won't be any from me though, because I don't use Blender. Why am I finishing this line? It's a question that only I can answer, and one that I shall not be answering. Yeah. I think I might have Blender actually, I can't remember. Well, you say 3DS is better since it's supported by the P3D SDK, but Gmax is supported by the FS9 SDK, the FSX SDK, and the P3D SDK is just the FSX SDK with some added bonuses, so it's not really better. It's what have I done? Okay. Just finish it. See, no arguing, guys. Blender is, it's free. Yes, it is. Oh, I'm gonna have to judge this one, aren't I? Right, let's press escape. And again, zoom in, texture position. Damn it. That is too small. Like, regardless of any other size, that is too small. I do use night textures for GPs, yes. No worries, Dan. Right, screw the line. What was I doing? Yes, night textures for GPs. Most of my ground polys now are made in ADE because it's so much easier. Like the lines specifically, they're made in ADE. This might take a minute or 5 hours to load. I don't know. Oh, there we go. FSX. Yes, I was finishing the line, but I'm not anymore. Simply because the line is... Would you call me linist if I said it's a stupid line? Yes, I am linist. Yes, I did. I did edit the ADE textures for the GPs. God, this is nice and slow, isn't it? Right, now the only difference that I'm going to have from you guys for ADE, what I might have, sorry, is I put the Pro key. I paid for it. So that's the only difference we have, I'm guessing. There's not much of a difference. It doesn't add many features, but I don't particularly use any of them anyway, so it's not going to make the blindest bit of difference for this. Now, if I get rid of that, you can see I've added the ground polygon lines here and here. Now this is going to be really quick to show you because I don't do precision. Now these are edge lights. Don't worry about them. Let's actually get rid of them because they are in the wrong place at the wrong time. Any more? No. Okay, so those are edge lights. Now, I'll show you how to add textures to the GP texture editor. Just open the GP editor for now because it'll take 3 days to load anyway. I keep giving these things like some ridiculous amount of time for them to load, don't I? But like the truth is, they don't actually take a ridiculous amount of time to load. Like the GP editor takes probably about 10 to 15 seconds to open on the first go, but after that it opens straight away. Okay, so what we want to do is go into Tools, click on the GP texture editor, and here you'll have all of your definitions. To add your own, click on. Okay, to add your own, you've got to bring a texture in. What texture to edit exactly? To add it to ADE textures. Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll show you that now. So let's go into textures. Let's have a look here. Left 4 Dead 2 header. I'm amazed at what I find in here sometimes, I really am. Line tutorial. Yeah, there we go. Line tutorial. Right, so what I've got here is I've got 3. See, I was going to do a tutorial on this, wasn't I? So I've got 3 lines. They're exactly the same texture apart from that one, which is not needed. So I've got line tutorial BMP, which is exactly what it says on the box. It is the BMP, it's the DXT BMP specifically. And I've also got this guy here. Same kind of texture, different name. I can't remember if I put them in already. Let's have a look. I did. Oh, no, that's tutorial lines. Maybe I didn't. Well, let's put them in, shall we? Right, we want a new instance of Explorer. Go into local disk and all of these files here. We want MS, FSL, do that. FS Design Tools, and depending on what version you're using, I'm using 7.0. Let's go up to there. Now in this folder you'll see textures, textures base MIPT, and textures base non-MIPT, and textures DPY. And DPY base. Now the ones you want are textures and textures DPY. Textures is the folder just full of your textures, and textures DPY is the display texture you have in the ground poly editor. These things. So let's just say what, 5 meters wide? That's ridiculous. Right. These are all the display textures here. Now, for example, if we want to click on one, we'll have the definitions here. So that's what we want to do. We want to define the texture. Just go back into there and into there. Right, so I've got this guy here, lines tutorial. Pop that into textures. Copy and replace, why not? And I've got lines tutorial 1, and we'll put that into textures DPY. Don't have to copy and replace that one. I've already got it in there. Nice. So lines tut. So GP texture editor. Should be no def next to it. I don't like life anymore. I'll do it myself. So no one's still watching. We're going to go for 47 minutes now. Not too bad. Not too bad. Let's get a little drinky poop. Very good. Nice to have you with us. Oh, come on, Photoshop. I don't have all day. It's gone now. Oh. Just waiting for Photoshop. Cool, huh? Ah, very good. Nice to have at least 2 of you with us. Anyone else, or just you guys? Right, got Photoshop open. Click on New. Let's go width 512, height 1024. That'll do. Mode. There we are, but 8 bits, good. Right, so you got this thing now, right? Let's just make a very basic line because I'm not fooling about today. Why is it not working? Oh, there we go. Okay, that's one line. Two lines. Quickly to show you because I'm not doing anything else. Right, so what you want is you want these 2 lines here. It's going to go Control Shift and S to actually let's get rid of the background layers. Let's do it properly and not at all. So one, no. Why not? We'll just go for that. Oh God, what have I done? What key to hold to make lines straight in Photoshop? It's Shift. Hold down Shift, and the lines will be straight. And that'll do. Control Shift and S to save. Let's save them as a punga. Put them into textures. No, we'll just call it TUT lines 3 because reasons. Don't know what that is there, but you know that's going. Shoot lines 3. Yes. Okay, we've now got that sorted. So let's put a background on. Anything we like. Let's go with black. Let's fill it in. Control Shift and S. And we'll save as BMP 24 bits. It's the same name. Okay, there we go. Don't need Photoshop open anymore. Let's close that as well. No, not close it. Minimize. Minimize! Don't close. Right, shoot lines. There we go. Right, what we want to do is want to open up DXTBMP. Where to find that? That's the question. Right, there we go. DXTBMP. Boom. Okay, so what we want to do is want to go. I just realized it's a Budum and it's like not even in time with the stream. But yeah, that Budum was me pasting link to DXTBMP. Okay, so we've got our lines. Let's just open up one of them in here, the PNG, and that will give us the alpha already applied to it. Preview transparency. There we go. Okay, file, save as, extended bitmap, or DDS, depending on what you want. DXT3, and just save as tutorial lines 3BMP, and no! $32. Okay, that's fine. Make sure you change the name, because otherwise it will just overwrite the one you've saved. So here we go, tutorial lines 32. Pop that into there. And pop that one into there. Let's go tutorial lines 32. Let's take away the 32, shall we? There we go. Now, in ADE, there should be a no-def file in here. Go into Tools, go into GP Texture Editor, and down the bottom we'll have tutorial lines 3, no-def. Just realized I've closed Photoshop and I might need to open again. What difference between DDS and extended? None, as far as I'm aware. I think DDS, they're slightly, maybe slightly smaller, slightly bigger in size. I'll have to experiment on that. Right, yeah, I have closed Photoshop and I'm going to need to open because we need the pixel ratios. I am organized. That's what I am. Just realized I'm talking an awful lot. Oh, I need to go to bed. No, I don't. I need to go to work. Okay. Photoshop again. Oh, for God's sake. There we go. No, not that one. That one. Right. So, we go into ADE, into our texture editor. We can see we've got this now. It says none. What you want to do is you want to give it a name. So this might just be taxi line center. Okay. Is it horizontal or is it vertical? Well, it's horizontal because that means it's going that way. Vertical means the texture is straight up, I think. So uniform, no, doesn't matter. Position in list 52, whatever you want. Start pixel 0. And width and height is 1. Those are the two you want to focus on. Start pixel. I have a tic-tac-toe game? Where? Where do I have a tic-tac-toe game? Is it in textures? You got me concerned now. Right, so what you want to do is you want to use the selection tool here. Make sure it's got no feathered edges. And you want to come up to just before where the line starts. Oh, the taskbar. Oh, you mean this? Oh, that's not tic-tac-toe. And the easiest way to get the pixel number, I've just gone straight ahead with that. The easiest way to get the pixel number is Control-C and then Control-N, and it will give you how high the pixel is. 947. Okay, so start pixel is 947. I was right with the horizontal. I'll get to it in a second. So the width and the height is, there we go. Width and the height is that. So 947 plus a little bit. Control C, Control N, 39. Put that in there. 39. Position in list 1. Okay. And click on another box and it'll come up with the update definition files, and once you've done that, that's one saved. Click on none and give it another line, so say edge, edger, edge. Okay, horizontal, and come back to Photoshop. Let's go like that. Control C and N, 825. 75. Okay, and you just keep going with that for the amount of lines you have. Once you've got somewhere you need to be, so for me it's just 2 definitions. Let's say size of the line is 1 meter wide. Go down to here. Tutorial line is 3, and you can see our textures appeared in the middle there. And we have 2 patterns, definitions. We have center line and edge line. They're not perfectly mapped. Do a better job than me. And that'll give you that. Now one more thing you can do is ADE comes with this little cool thing. Well, one more thing you can do is you can curve the lines as much as you like as long as they don't overlap each other, for example. If I did that, it's not going to give you any problems. Meter wide. Right? And it looks fine, doesn't it? It looks fine. But ADE might not flag this up as an issue, but Flight Sim will. Flight Sim will say, well, you got these points crossing here, and the only way I can deal with that is by Z-fighting the textures. So you can have flickering in the middle. And sometimes, if you double-click back on the lines, it will say there's a point superseded. Not always, but sometimes. So you can make the lines as curved and as funky as you like. What I like to do is add a helper shape. Let's go for circle to get the perfect curves, whatever size you need it to be. You can draw a straight line like that, and come down here and just use the circle as a guide. And it will give a nice curved line. Look at that. Actual line size 0.6. So HD lines, why not? Okay, there you go. That's not perfect, but it's better than it was. So there you go. That's how you make ADE lines. Simple as export the airport, and it'll go in as ground polys. All right, now back to that tic-tac-toe game. That is not tic-tac-toe. That is image tool. There's just no icon for it, so it doesn't like me. Now, are there any questions regarding ADE before I close it? Just kind of pointing at the screen here. I don't know why. Dooby-doo. Dooby-doo. Have to turn the microphone off for a second there because the cat was being a meowy cat. Merging ADE GPs with SketchUp GP. You can. You definitely can. However, there are some issues with that. Like, for example, if I wanted to merge all of the GPs in this, they all get exported as different groups. So if I was to export these GPs, which I have, actually, before now, let's just go into there. Flight Sim. It's X new castle. There we go. GP. Now, if I was to bring the GP file into there, you can see it's going to load up. It's going to ask me for definitions, etc. Just click on Next. Empty object, blah, blah, blah. Right, so once it's loaded in, he says waiting for it to load in. Have I got my... yeah, so. Oh, just waiting. Get some more questions in while we wait. This might take a minute or 5. La 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 la. My phone just lit up. Yeah. Twitch. Snapchat. Oh, this is gonna take forever. Why am I waiting so long? get back to lights in just a second, actually. Well, this might take a couple of weeks to load, so let's just let it do that. Oh, there we go. Load the texture. About time. Right. So this is the there we go. This is the ground polygons for Newcastle Airport in the UK. Now you can see I'm clicking on next object here, and it's taking me to the next objects. They all get exported in small groups. It does actually depend on what way you export them in, because like sometimes they come out in small groups, and if you export the scenery with I think it's single reference point. Let me just have a quick check. Compile. Yeah, single ref point, ARP elevation full visibility. That will give you only the groups that they're grouped into. Which tool can replace instant scenery? The only tool that I know of is Easy Scenery. I'm not actually sure myself. I've never used anything else, unfortunately. I know instant scenery is pricey, but it's well worth it. Like once you've got it once, you can use it over and over again. You can change computers. I have many times, and you can still use it. You only have to purchase it once, and it's a good investment. I would highly recommend it. So yeah, if you export as single ref, yes, I can. After the ADE stuff is done, I will come back to your problem. Definitely. So yeah, if you export a single ref point ARP elevation full visibility, you'll get the lines export in the groups they are placed in. So for example, it'll be just export that there. Again, this might take a couple of weeks. Oh, I broke it. It's crashed. It's dead now. Oh, there we go. Airport compiled. Right, so if we export like that, then it will just export us some lines in group layer 24, layer 28, whatever it might be. I've just crashed the entirety of that computer. So whatever. Go back onto there. Just bring that back in, actually. See, that's why it was taking so long. There was like a million groups. There we go. Loaded texture. Right, so if we look at it like this, we can see that I've only got a couple of groups. I've got the main parking, which is layer 20 or layer 16, depending on which lowest layer is. Layer 24, 28, depending, and upwards and upwards and upwards. Now you'll have to work out what layers they are, but once you have worked it out, you can export these as a collada model for SketchUp. You can export as collada or 3ds Max. You can go for Autodesk. It doesn't matter which model you choose, as long as your program can receive that model type, it'll be fine. However, if you export as collada, you might find some UVW mapping issues. I have figured that out in the past. Some UV issues. But yeah, that's how you can combine them. Just export as whatever format you want, bring it into ADE, make sure the textures are in the same folder as the object, and ADE? No, SketchUp. SketchUp will recognize it, and it will place it into the model as you need it to be. Might need to position it, but once you've got it done, it's in place, it's there forever. Okay, now back to your problem. What was your problem? Yes. Lights, wasn't it? It's lights. I think it was lights. I'm scrolling up here. Yeah, lights. It was lights for you, wasn't it? Right, so let's get back to the lights. I'll leave Model Converter X open. Now, if you export lights, let's have a look. Scenery. Airfield objects, maybe? Scenery? It's not in there, is it? Obviously not. Well, it might be in lights, actually. It's not going to be in there either, is it? Airport buildings? Nope. Okay, let's try FS Essentials. Airfield objects. See, there we go. Field objects BGL. Could not load texture. Okay, that's nice of you. There we go. Why could you not load texture? This makes no sense. Cool. Come on now. What do you mean by will the texture mapping be exported? What do you mean by that? And what do you mean by it would be nice if you could check that image? What image? You know what? It might help if I turn the actual thing onto textures, won't it? Moron. Okay. So here we have a light. A green light. Now these are all made in the same way. If I turn that on, you can see just a cross polygon. For FSX, you need to have a transparent texture and a night map texture. And you need to set these controls to no shadow, no Z right, etc. And you also need to set these controls here. Now, I was finding out what that was, wasn't I? It's there. Turn that off, turn that off. That's the chat, so open Facebook. I have to bring the chat onto this side for now because I can't see it otherwise. Okay. Yeah, so what do you guys mean by will the mapping be exported, and would be nice if you could check the image? Can I just ask what you mean, please? Oh my days. It's taking forever. Close Photoshop, I don't need to open. Might speed things up a little bit. Oh god, what has happened to the chat? I broke it. Hang on. There we go. Yes, ADE will stay mapped, regardless. Like, you bring it into Model Converter X and it will stay mapped the way it was. The issue you might have is it might have a earth curve correction applied to it already. If this is the case, then you can just turn off the earth curve correction by uncorrecting the model. I posted a link to Google Drive where I have uploaded an image to show you the problem better. Yes, I will have a quick look for that. Let's have a look here. Inbox. Did you post it to my Google Drive or was it someone else's? I'm going to search for P3D again. I'll make GPU AD and texture will stay applied and mapped. Stay as it is. Yeah. ADE will give you no variations on the textures as long as you apply the definitions correctly. They will look brilliant. Oh, that was ages ago. Crikey. Your chat isn't updated. Let's see if I can fix that. Go onto the control panel now. And I don't know how to update the YouTube to allow links. I am sorry. I'm just not very good at this. Okay. Installer. Why is this thing not scroll? Okay, there's nothing to scroll through. I am sorry. This is taking so long. There's no mention of P3D there either, is there? Let's try that one. Try that one. Alright, there we go. So, what's his name? Okay. Might have been a while ago, like. There we go. Right, so for P3D, what you want to do is you want to set the alpha test function to greater and set the z-test alpha to true. Okay? So alpha test function needs to go to greater and z-test alpha to true. And that will give you the relevant lights for P3D. However, you can't see anything at night, but I'll just open that and bring it over here. You can see it works. This is a screenshot I was sent by one of the viewers. So, it does work. And that's in P3D version 3.3, I believe. So, it does work. He'd actually mentioned you can't see anything in the display. However, once exported, it does work quite well. Okay. So that's how you sort your lights issue out. P3D, you want to go for set the alpha test function to greater and the z-test alpha to true. Right, let's get back to that YouTube chat because I can't see it. Okay then, what's your name on Google Drive? Good question, it's been a while. Why did I click on Gmail? That's just going to take ages to load. Drive. There we go. It is that's quite simple, actually. Well, you sent the messages 3 minutes ago. Oh crikey. Alright, what's wrong with this thing then? It just needs refreshing or go for reload? I guess it's up to date now. I refreshed. I'm getting everything like half an hour late. It's just funny. Any more questions regarding everything? Because I need to get ready to go soon. I don't want to leave anyone hanging too long. Ready. Yeah, that's the one I edited. Will this live be uploaded? It should be. I don't see why it wouldn't be uploaded. Pretty sure I've got YouTube to store them. Hopefully, it should be uploaded. If not, then that's fine. I've got all the information I need. I can make a tutorial on it. Get some of those tasty views. Alright, if you haven't already subscribed, please do it now, because I don't like not having many. In fact, to tell you the truth, right, the subscriber count on my YouTube channel has been incredible over the past year. Like, I went from 300 at the beginning of the year up to, what am I on now? Let's have a quick look. 629 subscribers. Now that is absolutely fantastic. It really is. I've lost the chat. Oh, I need a driving license or a PP. Yeah, me too. Me too. Jesus. What number did I say? Did I not say 629? How to fly a bus? I mean, stop and get people. I don't know about buses, but if you ever played Euro Truck Simulator 2, there's quite a lot of flying involved in that, especially at the junctions in Calais. Oh, I got a phone call. Just bear with me 1 second, guys. I'll type my replies. Ta-da! Right, I'm back. I appear to have an email. Let's check it, shall we? Let's check the email. Can't believe I've got to go through Gmail to get to my email. Seriously. Sent me a PNG. Let's have a look. That's quite nice actually. Right. So, do you mind telling me what problems you're having? Because I'm not sure what problems you're having there. I'm not sure if you can attach gauges to scenery objects. I'm pretty sure you could be able to. It might be for SOD, but I don't use SOD very often. So I'm not sure of the inner workings of it. It is raining outside like a good one. Oh right, I've just zoomed in on the image and I can see what you mean by the lines going through the runway, like the join lines. Yes. Was that made in SketchUp, was it? Or was it made in oh, yeah, was it made in SketchUp or was it made in a different program like 3ds Max or something? I think my PC's about to die on me. Just giving me a loading sign for no reason. Okay, yeah, it's still running. That's oh god, it's not responding now. Let's get rid of that before anything breaks. There we go. Now it's responding. Right, yeah, everything's fine there. Yeah, I can see the lines. Did you make it in SketchUp or did you make it in 3ds Max? And for your question there, FS School, I would say you probably can add gauges to them. However, not being very familiar with SOD, I wouldn't be too sure as to the inner workings of it. The best place to go for that is FS Developer. FSdeveloper.com, you can ask any question and there'll be a completely huge host of people to answer the questions for you. Like, I've posted several topics there, I've posted several releases there, and the feedback has been amazing from them. I would definitely suggest going to FS Developer for it. I just showed in your tutorial. Oh, okay, so SketchUp. Yeah, the only thing I can suggest really is what's happened there is it looks like the lines are all perpendicular for north and south, so and east. So you should be fine with that. I'm not too sure why the lines have showed up the way they have. So what I would personally suggest is if you have the issue that you're having there with your lines, the best thing to do is to compile as two separate pieces. So instead of compiling your ground poly and your detail layer all as one, compile your ground poly base first, and then sort of tweak that a little bit to make sure it works without any lines showing through, and then compile the detail layer over the top on a separate layer, and you should have no problems, hopefully. Failing that, what I would suggest is trying to compile in groups. Again, failing that, then definitely split the ground polygons. Like, don't don't have them separate. Like, definitely click on slice. You might want to reduce the slice size as well to something like 200 meters. Not 200 meters, like 50 meters. More polygons, but probably better quality. Oh dear. Let's have a drink. Just realised you've been looking at this screenshot of Newcastle here. It's not even a screenshot. You've been looking at the screenshot of Newcastle. Let's get rid of that. Look at something more pleasing. Like, yeah, that's more pleasing. This is just better. Yeah, so I'm gonna start wrapping this up now because we've been going for nearly an hour and a half. The last things I will say, however, is get your final questions in. I'll get them answered before I go. And lastly, the programs that you're going to be needing for flight sim creation, like modeling, anything like that, I would definitely recommend SketchUp, number 1, Model Converter X, number 2, Library Creator XML, number 3, that is not important, Image Tool, that comes with the SDKs anyway. This guy here is CAT. No, sorry, that's Model Tweaker. That's for Flight Sim 9 and things like that, so if you're working on FSX or above, it doesn't really matter. Some form of image editing tool, FSF tiles if you want it, DXTBMP definitely. And if you want to record them and make good shoutouts, OBS. There you go. An hour and a half of sitting here doing nothing but talking about myself. I feel good. I feel good today. So yeah, for you, Norvin, I think that's how you pronounce your name. I'm sorry if I'm getting it wrong. Norvin, what you want to do is you want to go back and recompile the ground polygons separately. So make sure they're all grouped together, make sure there's no spaces in SketchUp. If you zoom out and you see little lines, try and tweak the texture slightly so they are not quite mapped to the edge. But yeah, try and do that, and hopefully it works out better for you. And you are very, very welcome, ID Music and Gaming, to subscribe to your channel as well. It's pretty interesting you've got that. So yeah, thank you very much for that. Let's see, have a look here, shall we? YouTube. If it ever wants to load, I mean, like we're taking our time here, like. Yeah. Boom. Alright, no issue then. Righto, so I'll be shoving off. Like I say, it's been like an hour and some minutes. 1080p stream. It's probably kicked the crap out of my computer if I'm honest. Ah. Well, I guess it broke. Bye.